Today on the show, we're going to be talking about how the PPP loan can impact your future, whether you've qualified for it in the past or not, and how do you make sure you get it forgiven, all on today's podcast. Salon owners are some of the most amazing people on planet Earth. The only problem is sometimes their hearts are so big and they give so much of themselves to their staff and guests that it creates unintended consequences. Our goal is to change the industry by elevating the way the rest of the world sees salons, spas, and barbershops and give it the credibility that it truly deserves. This is the Salon Owner Evo Revo Show. So, no matter what is going on inside your world, the PPP loan, if you've had any sort of struggles, challenges, or issues inside your salon or inside your business, it's super, super important that you understand kind of what's going on. And Doug, you've been getting a lot of messages about the PPP loan. I have been too, and I think a lot of people are asking about them. If you have questions about PPP, do me a favor, type in the chat PPP, and that way that we know that this is all working. Yeah, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to get some clarity on that and get some questions answered, get the ball rolling. We don't have all the answers, obviously.
Totally.
But we're going to get the ball rolling on things that we do know, things that we have learned, so that hopefully we can get everybody as up to speed as possible. And as we know from last time, things change. So it may be changing, but at least we start to get an idea of what's going on. We do know it's passed. We do know it's coming open, so.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things. So by the way, for most of you guys, and there's people who had the PPP loan on the first round, but Congress, as of the end of just right at the end of the year, passed another round of PPP loans and are able to help do that. So Doug, what's the point of a PPP loan? Why should somebody get it? Why do they even release this in the first place? Just to give some context around this.
I think the idea is to stabilize small businesses,
right.
Especially on this round. I mean, the first round was like, hey, we may be shutting down. We don't want millions of people ending up on unemployment. If we can continue to keep them employed through the business, help keep the business to be able to pay the rent, do those other things, help business survive, that'll be great. Obviously, this has gone on much longer than people expected it to go on. So. Yeah, they're doing this second round, and there again, I mean, the loss of 25% in a quarter, which is something that we will talk about, to make sure that people that need the money are the only ones getting it, and people that weren't necessarily negatively affected are not getting it. But the idea is to keep people on pay, keep your payroll steady, keep it from keeping your employees from going a week or two without pay. If you had to shut down for a week because of coronavirus, it would pay those things. So that's what the PPP loan is to be used for. And as long as you use it for those things, it will be forgiven. The thing to not do is you're going to have extra money. More than likely, there's going to be some extra cash from this that you can use for other things. But you just have to make sure that you have the expenses outlined in the application, that those expenses do occur inside your business. And the PPP loan is what pays for those things. So I think as long as you stay in those guidelines, and so the idea is like, okay, so there's going to be some more money here. What can I do? The idea behind this is to help small businesses be successful. Thing not to do is to suck money out of your business and put it in your pocket. That is not the purpose of this.
What, you mean I can't just go out and buy a new car and do all that stuff with this money?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. It's to grow your business. So now then there's more than likely if you get one, more than likely you're going to have some positive cash flow because you're not going to need it for all of your ongoing expenses. You use it for that. So then the extra income that comes in from normal business activities, how do you use that money to accelerate your business? What are things that you can do that would help your business do better and use this as an opportunity to spring forward, which is going to help the economy come back, help employ more people, all those things, and be able to pay more taxes because you're in business, doing business, taking sales tax. All those things are what's intended from the PPP. So one of the things I say is that I know some people last one took it and hid it away in a triple
like a squirrel. They just put it. They just didn't touch it. They didn't want to use it because they were worried if they used it, they weren't going to be able to get it paid back.
And that's not the idea. They want you to use it. I mean, obviously, like I said, don't pull it out and go buy a new boat or a car or something like that. That you will get in trouble for that. But use it. Make sure that it stabilizes your business, which is the purpose. If it creates extra cash flow because you're using it for the expenses that it's meant for, it's going to create some extra cash flow there. So then, how do you smartly use that cash flow? What are the things that you would like to do inside of your business that you hadn't been able to afford to do before? And one of the things that obviously a little self-serving would say is, for getting good consulting. And I would say whether you do it with us or somebody else.
Yeah, but find somewhere. Invest in growing your salon, because here's the thing. I talked about this last night because we did this and we want to do another round on this because it was super helpful, is we had some salons that have the reverse problem. Like Doug, you had kind of mentioned this problem, right? Is when you guys reopened, you reopened so big and so well and actually even more profitable than you were before. Now all of a sudden the 25% loss for the year was only regimented to like 3 specific months because you were able to bounce back really, really quickly. And almost every salon in a high-performance salon academy bounced back even better than they did before because they also kept paying for coaching, consulting, whatever, whether that's with us or with somebody else. Figure out what are some of the ways you can use that. And I think people kind of dog-ear the money sometimes, Doug, like you were mentioning on here, is people go, well, look, I put that money in a specific window, like I put it in a specific bank account, and I'm only going to break it out and use it when I need to have it. Right? So they're like, well, if I have an employee that goes out or whatever, that's what I'm going to use it for, as opposed to saying, look, where do I, if that is a bank of cash that I have access to, I can use that money and use it for payroll, use it for all the things that it was intended for. And then when you do have leftover cash, you can kind of use that money to pay for the things that it allows you to pay for. And then the cash that you would have paid for payroll or would have paid for the sick employees or would have paid for any of those things, you can now use that as a way to catapult you forward in your business if you do things correctly. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is how do you use that money wisely to move your business forward? I think that's the ticket. And on the 25% thing, there's because it says you had a 25% loss in at least one quarter during the year.
Yeah. So talk about that, because that's a big deal. That's what it says. Over one quarter, you have to have at least a 25% revenue reduction, total gross revenue.
Right, so there again, let's get down to what the purpose of that is. That is to make sure that people that did not suffer or have any harm do not get access to this money. Because there are businesses last time, and not their fault. Hey, it was open to them. It's there. Anybody, you didn't have to show any real loss or loss of business in order to get the first round. This is they're saying that we want to help the people that were hurt. Makes a ton of sense. They say do it by a quarter, 25% loss in a quarter, or 25% reduction in gross receipts. But like in our case, and I've talked to a few other salons that are in this predicament. In our case, we don't quite make it in first quarter. We don't quite make. We were, within. I think we were at 23% loss or reduction in gross receipts in second quarter. They're not quite making it there if we do it according to those quarters. Like if you looked at the regular quarters. However, if you looked at a 3-month period for us, March, April, May, we were down more than we were actually down 35% during that period of time.
During that window, which was 3 months, which technically is a quarter, right? I mean, and this is, you mentioned this really well, Doug, is you were talking about, this is where you have to get into the specifics of what people say, because so many people, right? So many people are like, well, I don't qualify because that was first quarter or second quarter, but this is your opportunity to go to bat with your accountant, with the SBA, and say, look, this quarter of time, even if it lapped over what a traditional quarter is, you should really push to see if you can get those 3 months that was your income was reduced, you could qualify for the second round of PPP.
Yeah, I mean, because my accountant, I pushed back on her and said, hey, look, if you take these 3 months, which is still a quarter of the year, we did have a 25% reduction. She'd done some research, she did some digging, and in the legislation, it does not define what a quarter is. It does not specifically say that it must be a traditional, January, February, March, or April, May, June. It doesn't specify. It just says a quarter, and a quarter, by definition of a year, is 3 months. So. And because, like I said, I've talked to other people that their loss kind of straddled those 2 months, so they're just barely missing it on both of them. And the intent of the law or the regulation is not to exclude people because their loss didn't happen at exactly the right time. I mean, some people that have, may have had less of a loss, but it happened in the right quarter would qualify. People that had more of a loss, but it happened straddling 2 quarters would not be able to. So I feel really strong that as long as you can show a 3-month loss, that's technically a quarter, and you will be able the idea was not to exclude those people. The idea was to exclude people that didn't have any loss from dipping into the bucket.
Totally. By the way, if you don't know where to go on some of this stuff, I want to make sure you guys get some resources. So see if I can get this up here on the screen. I'll see how well this works for me. This might work or it might go chaos. I'm running my own tech today because we had some tech shenanigans. But here's the deal. You go on to SBA.gov, and if you just search coronavirus small business guidance and loan resources, there's a ton of information on here about how to watch out for fraud and scams. But then you can also go through all these business topics on here and figure out how you can actually get help from the SBA. You're looking for this giant coronavirus graphic here and go find out. You can figure out where those applications are. The other place that you can go, and I'll see if I can pull this up, is I showed this yesterday, but I want to show it again today, is my bank. I have Bank of America, US Bank, and a couple of small banks I work with also. They sent out a bunch of notifications on this about as of December 27th. Here's how your Paycheck Protection Program works because they have $284 billion in new PPP funding. And they gave some great information about how it works. This is where we're getting this 25%. You have to have less than 300 employees. This makes a huge difference. Bank of America, but I want you to know, our PPP loan is digital only. So I want to share this with you because I just went through a new process for, we were purchasing a building during this whole process over the last couple of months here. And one of the things that I thought was really fascinating is I got to work exclusively with the, let's see if I can get back to the screen with both of us, sorry, running my own stuff. But I was working with the SBA lender because we did an SBA loan to purchase a building that we were just dealing with. And the SBA lender was like, he was passed out and exhausted and was like, oh man, I just went through all these PPP loans. And so they have decided that all the PPP loans are going to be digital application only. So even if you call on the phone, they're going to force you to do an application. Now, I don't know if you guys are like me, but as soon as they just say, well, go on the website and fill this out, I have 1,000 questions and so sometimes you just don't do it. My request to you is, if you know you've got a 25% loss on year, go online, fill out the application, go ahead and do it, and you'll be able to get some great resources and tools to be able to sign in. And again, if according to Bank of America, what they're sending with me, sign into your Business Advantage account, then you can log in for banking solutions, and then you can enroll in the PPP loan just straight from your online banking. And I would imagine a lot of the larger national banks, that's how they're going to apply. Doug, you've mentioned this before. I want you to talk about it. Talk to me about having a relationship with a local bank that's not one of these giant, massive banks here. Tell me about that and the relationship with your banker.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have a relationship with a banker, if not a couple of bankers, because during times like this, you're going to be able to have those better discussions. Just like talking about how are we defining a quarter? I'm going to be able to have a deeper conversation with my banker because of my relationship with them than if it was somebody in the office a million miles away that didn't really know who I was, even though I've been banking with their company for years. So I think it's super important that you have a relationship with somebody where you can go to lunch with them. You can do different things to build a relationship. So, I'm on the call list for my banker. As soon as something happened, like all of ours getting forgiven, as soon as it was forgiven and went through, she gave me a call, let me know, hey, that's done. By the way, in this new legislation, the $10,000, if you got that grant through the EIDL, it was... Right. That went against your forgiveness on your SBA. On your PPP. They've now changed that legislation where they're going to forgive that $10,000 also.
Wow, that's awesome.
A little bit more of a process that they're going to have to work through. Be patient with them, especially if you've already gotten forgiven and they didn't forgive that portion of it. Then just look back. Just wait. They are looking for guidance of how to do it. The intent, again, of the new law is to make sure that goes away. Like I said, this has gone on much longer than anyone expected it to. So they're trying to get the remedies in there. And again, remembering that the idea of this is to help businesses stabilize and move forward. We're still having spurts. We had last week, we had 7 people out for 10 days because they were potentially exposed to someone that tested positive to coronavirus. Right. So that the money is needed for that, but it's also going to help, it's there to use and just make sure you're putting in your business, you're using it for something that's going to move your business forward. Whether you need coaching, consulting, whether you need to hire the right professionals for accounting, for
Well, or legal
lawyers.
professionals like lawyers, so that you can figure out, like, this has been coming up a lot, right, Doug? Is a lot of people are asking about, well, okay, legally, how do I need to respond? Or there's people who are saying, should, like in California, there's salons that are saying, should we or shouldn't we be shut down, right? And they're having those discussions. And if you're doing things to help increase the revenue of your business and help make a full recovery, you can use your funds to be able to do that inside. And this is really, really important, is that so many of you guys don't get caught up in the semantics. Look at the details, talk to your attorney, get some professional advice on it, and make sure you know how to use it and where you can use these funds.
Yeah, I think it's super important. I think that, is this going to move my business forward? Is getting that coaching or consultant, is that going to be the thing that's going to do it? Is that the thing that I need?
Right.
What I would caution against is saying, and I've got a bunch of extra money and we're going to do a remodel, even though we don't need to do a remodel.
Yeah, that's a whole different deal.
Right. If you need to do a remodel, fine. But don't just go and say, now then we can buy all these other things. Say, what can I do that I can put in place? I didn't have the revenue before. What's something that I could invest in, help get other professionals to help me point myself in the direction to be as successful as possible, is a great opportunity that if you don't take advantage of, if it just poofs away, then it was like, so what we're trying to do is to bring your attention to this as an opportunity to stabilize your business and possibly catapult it into a much better position
Completely
by later in the year.
Right.
So just make sure that you're seeing those funds that way, because that is the way that they're intended. That's going to help the entire country rebound quicker. So just, I just want to make sure that people know there's going to be some extra money there. Please spend it wisely. If there's been a conversation, I know that helped my business, but I just can't afford it. If you've ever said that, maybe you need to revisit that.
Right.
And whoever it is, I mean, he's like, yes, we run a coaching and consulting thing, but we're not the only game in town. Find one that fits you. Find one that works well with you, that you feel comfortable with. That's super important. I mean, so just don't let it just disappear.
Yeah, I think, and I want to talk about some problems, because I saw this, and maybe you're guilty of this one. You have to let me know if you were guilty. You don't have to, but I'm just saying you can. Is I had people who I know, and again, in the first round of PPP loans, you could kind of just, anybody could apply for it because nobody knew how it was going to impact them, and they didn't have any criteria, right? Now they have the criteria of you have to have had an impact in your business of a loss of 25% of your revenue. So there's some people who got their PPP loans and they didn't use it all, so they gave it back, and even though it could have been forgiven. And that's a really important thing that I want you guys to be aware of, is as you're doing this stuff, is like, look, I think that these government grants, I'm not a big fan of like waiting for your government handout, but if the government does hand it out, then you should probably take advantage of that and be able to use that as a strategic advantage for your company to be able to continue to grow and move forward, especially if you're a salon that has recovered and rebounded and you're doing well again. I just can't encourage you enough to say, at least apply for the money, get access to it, and have it. It's kind of like having, like, this is how I look at it, Doug. It's kind of like having a line of credit. I mean, I applied for a line of credit a couple years ago, and I had that line of credit sitting around. I didn't use it one time. And this is super important, okay, is that some people apply for a line of credit and then they're like, oh, great, now I have all this free money that I can go use. Again, that's not what we're encouraging you to do, is get a line of credit and then go out and spend it all, but use it for the areas that you need to use it for. Use it in things that you can, and I would just say it this way, invest in the growth of your company and figuring those things out and helping you to grow where you want to. And by the way, I want to give one quick plug for something else that we're doing coming up this weekend. This weekend we've got our Salon and Spa Digital Bounce Back program. How do you come back from 2020, get into 2021, and have your best year you have ever had? Coming up just this Saturday. So if you want to join us on Saturday and you want free tickets, it's a totally free event. All you have to do is comment. What did I say?
Sunday, Jason. You said Saturday.
Yeah, Sunday. That's exactly what I meant to say. Thanks, Doug, for being the appropriate version. Can you tell? I'm just going to be here Saturday and Sunday and Monday. I'm here for all of them. But yes, Sunday is the bounce back event. Sorry for that. Thanks, Doug, for catching me on that. But on Sunday, if you can make it for an entire day on Sunday, I think it's they're going to be about 6:30 a.m. to 2 a.m. Pacific time. So for those on the East Coast, we're going to be at 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. again on Sunday for the Digital Bounce Back event. But it's going to be an amazing day. We're going to talk to you about how do you actually create more of these opportunities? What are some of the things that you can do? And the event's totally free. Like we're going to dump that information on you guys and give you as much as possible because so many salons, and Doug, I see it in Facebook groups every single day. People are still struggling. They're still trying to figure it out. And again, I saw Fallon on here. What's up, Fallon? Good to see you, by the way. She commented earlier about our salons having problems where they had too much money and they didn't have the full quarter to write off. She said, yeah, that's high performer problems. And that's it though. Look, wouldn't it be great if we could just make it so that you didn't have that issue and you weren't needing to have this government handout or all these other things? Like that's the goal, is so you could still survive and operate at a very high level and do it. And again, as High Performance Salon, I'll just say this, like we didn't have to get PPP loan or any sort of government assistance like that as part of the academy because we didn't lose any revenue at all. We maintained a high level of operation and we didn't have to take advantage of any of those government assistance programs. And whether that's good or bad, I just want you to know, like, if you can continue to operate at a very high level and you don't need the assistance, great. If you do need the assistance, you've been in an area that's been impacted and your city said you have to close down, then use it. That's exactly what it's there for, and that's what you pay into.
And I think that your reference of a line of credit, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it may hit your area hard before everybody gets vaccinated and everything. You may be closed for 2 or 3 weeks. You don't know. And you can't go back and say, oops, I was doing good, but now I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I should have applied for it when it was available to me last month.
Right. If you qualify for it, get the money, hold on to it. If you feel like you need to give it back, but that's not what they don't want you to give the money back. They want you to use it for the given purpose.
Right.
So get the money, use it for the given purpose. Make sure that you do have the resources that if something unforeseen happens, that you can handle it. And if the unforeseen doesn't happen, that you use that money to invest and grow your business so that we can grow this economy back where it deserves to be.
Yeah. So top takeaways from the call. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If it is, do me a favor, drop a comment in the comment section below. But do me a favor, go on to SBA.gov. Look for the coronavirus COVID-19 small business guidance and loan resources. Check with your local bank. See what online applications you can apply for. Also, go and, if you can, build a relationship with your smaller local bank. Have a better conversation about what sort of guidance. See if you can figure out if there's 3 months out of the year that you were impacted by at least 25% loss of revenue to help you to get that. Apply for the money now, whether you need it or not. Make sure it's there, and then see what other things you can do to grow your revenue and use the money to help you get back on your feet to become the business that you have wanted to become. And if you need more free support, tools, and assistance, make sure you check out our Bounce Back event this Sunday. See, I got it right that time. This Sunday, coming up, we're going to be there. Do me a favor, comment tickets, and we'll get you a free ticket to our upcoming Salon and Spa Digital Bounce Back event. And get ready next week on the podcast. You're not going to want to miss it. We have actually got a guest who's going to be on, who's going to be talking about how do you value your salon, whether you want to bring on shareholders or sell it in the future. How do you find the proper valuation of your salon? You're not going to want to miss that podcast. That's all on next week's show. Doug, as always, man, thanks for being on today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, guys, so much for being here.
Take care, guys.
All right, guys. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Evo Revo Podcast. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and you can always get more information, including show notes and the video episodes at evorevopodcast.com.